Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to this week's fourth edition of Isolation Station Discs. This week we have...
Me. Hello, my name's Nick Raymond.
Hi Nick, tell us about yourself. What is it that you do? What are you passionate about? What hobbies do you have?
Well, day job wise, I work in IT, have done ever since I left uni way too many years ago. Work for various different companies, but right now I work for a software company, mobile device management company. So yeah, very much in demand right now. Not really stopped despite the current situation. Outside of work, two things probably. Football, massive West Ham fan, as you know, season
You're
ticket
not that
holder. So
fat.
obviously that's all stopped. But alongside that, music, and I do have my own radio show / podcast, which I've been doing for the last few years, and it's now a monthly podcast.
Cool. We'll add a link to your Isolation Station Discs page to your podcast then.
That'd be
so
cool.
that people can check that out. That'd
Yep.
be awesome. Cool. So, what have you started doing since lockdown that you didn't do before?
This is an interesting one because I'm still working. Thankfully, that hasn't stopped. More than what I have done really. But the one thing I did do up until this week was we had my girlfriend's two kids here because their school was off. The school was stopped. So in between working, I've been attempting to homeschool those pair for the last few weeks, which has been quite interesting, trying to keep them on the straight and narrow and away from the Xbox as much as possible. So probably that.
That's an interesting one. I'm hoping that people go away from this with a newfound respect for school teachers. It's one of the reasons that I left teaching, because teachers were not respected the way that they should be.
Yes,
and it's not an easy job.
No, it definitely isn't. It's not one I probably would want to do, despite the fact my dad was one. So, yeah, I've always had good respect for teachers, and it's definitely something I was found interesting over the last few weeks for sure.
Fantastic. Okay, one piece of advice could you give to people that have found themselves not being able to leave the house?
I think it's interesting because everyone's been in different situations, right? Everyone's got, whether they're still at work or whether they're not able to work or depending what the work situation is. But one thing I would say is try and use this time wisely and take time to do what, to chill out, right? Because we've all got quite hectic lives. We've all got work going on. And I would say try and use this time if you can to, chill out a bit more, relax. Yes, there's stuff you could do around the house or whatever, but equally, just use it to just take time out and just put a pause on stuff for a little bit.
Sound advice. Okay, so this is not about lockdown. This is about music. So let's jump straight in and tell us about the track that was around when you were in your life at the age of 18. So what is that track that you couldn't live without at that time in your life?
So when I sort of thought, okay, what year was it when I was 18? And I was like, okay, that was around 1996. Showing my age now, but yeah, I was like, okay, what was I doing? What was the situation? Obviously, 18, I was just about to go off to uni and thinking about what sort of music I was into at that time. The track I went with was Beastie Boys' Sure Shot. Now, that track came out a couple of years prior to then, but it was around that time that I started getting into hip-hop, and Beastie Boys were one of those bands that, helped with that, to move from the music I was into when I was at school, more on the rock side, into more hip-hop dancey stuff around 17, 18, and went with that track as a result.
Oh, fantastic. It's a great track. I remember the Beastie Boys being around when I was at school, which is even longer ago than you.
Yep.
And kids would come into school and they've been stealing hubcaps off Volkswagens and things like that, and adorning themselves with bits of car.
Yeah, I think we had that as well, but at my school. But I don't think it was nothing to do with the Beastie Boys. I think people were just idiots. But yeah, Yeah, whereas I got into them around the All Communication album, which was '94. So that's hence me choosing it.
Excellent, excellent. So, tell us about a track that is on your list that came from when you were a child. So, something that you still listen to now. And how did you find that track, or how did you get it?
So this is an interesting one. Trying to work out, as a kid, what we're talking about here. I guess we're talking about sort of primary school years, right? Sort of around that age. And so around that time, you're really influenced by what your parents listen to. I do think so. And I'm thinking, well, what? Not that it's not a track I listen to or band I listen to often, but it's something. It's a tune that definitely takes me back to being in the car, going on holidays with the family. My dad basically had this album on tape, and it was listened to loads. It reminds me of going away camping as a family. Either as a whole family, or whether me and my dad would often take trips, just the two of us, go off to Wales in the car, do a bit of walking around the Brecon Beacons and stuff, and have fun. That album was ZZ Top Eliminator, and I've chosen a track off that, Sharp Dressed Man, because simply much it reminds me of those times.
Fantastic. And have you seen ZZ Top?
No.
No.
I unfortunately missed them when they played Glastonbury. So I haven't. That would be cool though.
Yeah, they were all right. They were all right. They didn't stick with me. I didn't stay for the whole set, but they were all right. They were fun. Okay, so tell me about an act or artist that you've discovered in the past 12 months. I'm imagining that you found this particularly hard because you look for a lot of new music all the time, especially with your radio show.
Yeah, so obviously with my own podcast radio show I do send a lot of promos from different labels, and that gets played. One of the aims of my show is to play lots of new independent music. One of the bands or acts, because it's not really a band, it's an act that I was introduced to via that. She's on the Ninja Tune label, is Sampa the Great. She's an American rapper, and her album got released last year. It's called The Return. And it's awesome. So, you don't get very many female MCs doing well. I think there should be more of them because there's plenty out there that are really, really good. And she's awesome. And saw her live January this year at Brixton Academy. And this to me is her standout track, Final Form.
Fantastic. I really like Ninja Tune as a label. They bring out some incredible stuff.
They're very eclectic, which is one of the reasons why I like them, and always have done. So
yeah. And they also have Mr. Scruff, of course.
They do indeed.
The Ninja Tuner.
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, so tell me about a live act. Maybe from a song from a concert you were at, or one that you wish you were at.
So the live act I've chosen here, I initially went with one and then I switched it around. I changed my mind on this one, and I thought, okay, let's see if I can go with a live recording or live act that's been around that I've for an event that I've been to. I thought, that's definitely one, and I'm going with the Warriors Dance Festival, they called it, which was June 2010 at Milton Keynes Bowl, which, to be honest, looking back at the lineup, was pretty awesome at the time. You had Does It Offend You? Yeah. You had Enter Shikari, Trace the Status, Pendulum, and then the headliners, The Prodigy. So I've gone with Their Law by The Prodigy, live from that event that I did attend.
That's
pretty good.
It's really interesting. Out of the 3 interviews I've done so far, everybody's chosen The Prodigy.
Which shows what a lasting legacy they've had. No one knows what the future of that band is currently right now, but whether there's going to be more releases from Liam Howlett or not, but it just shows the legacy of the band as a whole, really, doesn't it?
It does,
particularly on the live front.
It does indeed. There are a number of tracks on there. I was expecting to see Bubbles on there, the West Ham song, but it's not there. I see you've got some Primal Scream. We both like Primal. We both went to see Primal Scream at the Palladium of all venues. It was quite bizarre, wasn't it? Did we get upgraded at the Pendulum at the Palladium?
I don't think we got upgraded. We just went there anyway.
I'm sure that we had tickets from upstairs and we ended up downstairs, two of us, and
We did,
Paul and
but
Clive were
I
upstairs.
don't think that was intentional. I think that was an upgrade that the venue gave us. We just went in there and
I'm
sneaked
not
in there.
sure whether you won some extra tickets because we sold two of the tickets that we had.
Honestly, can't remember. Can't remember.
Okay,
yeah.
looking at that as well, you've got Cut Capers on there featuring Too Many Teas. I know
Yep.
that you love these guys, absolutely.
Yeah. I
Great.
mean, if I would say if someone was to sort of say, ask me what my tasty music is right now, I would say these two bands, and it was hard to choose a track from each of them. So I thought, well, they've done a track together. Let's choose that one, and it's pretty awesome.
Cool. So, is that the track that you would say this is the standout track on this playlist that I really want people to listen to, or is it something else?
That is a tricky question. Can I pick two? So like if someone, obviously, you had your categories, but then there was like 4, 5, or 6 different other tracks that I went to choose, and I was choosing tracks which I've liked historically, like Primal Scream or Faith No More. But then I went for a couple of ones which I would say are my tasty music right now, which yes would be the Cut Capers featuring Too Many Teas track, but also from a more up tempo side of things, the Dirty Moonshine big band track. Discovered them at Boomtown 2 years ago, and one of the best sets I saw all weekend was them. The way they combine sort of swing plus the bassiness of jump up drum and bass slash I don't know, ghetto funk, whatever you want to call it, live is fantastic. And their new album is coming out very, very soon. I think it's the end of May. And the track I chose is the lead single off that one. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Fantastic. So, big band fan. Yeah. I shall give that a listen later. Sounds interesting. So, okay, can you recommend a book to people that you think that they haven't read before?
This is a tricky question because, it's very interesting because when I was a kid, I read loads. I used to go through a book a night, and it's interesting over the last sort of 5 or so years, reading something I've not done as much as I probably should do. So, yeah, I'm going to switch the question and actually talk about something I do more often than reading, and that's listen to podcasts. Not just only because I've got one, but there are plenty of other podcasts out there which I think are definitely worth listening to and giving a bit of your time. There's obviously the Peter Crouch one if you like your football, but I would say, in addition to my own, definitely the Distraction Pieces podcast, the one that's done by Scroobius Pip. He basically spends an hour interviewing someone. Normally it's someone famous, but it might also be someone you've never heard of before. And actually, sometimes they're the best ones because he's interviewing someone who is representing a charity or done something really, really special that's worth listening to their story. So yeah, he releases that. Well, he was releasing it once a week. And yeah, definitely recommend, subscribing to that podcast. So the Distraction Pieces podcast by Scroobius Pip.
Awesome. I'll let you get away with that.
Cheers.
So if you can send us the link to that, I'll put that into the post as well, so that people can find that as well.
Yep,
That'd be
will
awesome.
do.
So finally, what thing are you looking forward to the most once lockdown's over?
Interesting question. So I would say globally, hopefully seeing my kids as soon as I possibly can, because missing them loads. But in as well as that, just getting out and seeing people in general, everyone getting together, and just catching up again. Because as good a video chat is and great, it's be good to get back and seeing people face to face.
Yeah. So what you're saying is friends and family. You're missing.
Definitely.
Definitely. For me, mine when I recorded me interviewing me, which was a bit mental, but I said it was going to gigs, and that supposedly pulls in all of my friends as well because they're going to be there anyway. So yeah, cool. Well, thank you very much, Nick, and I really appreciate you spending some time to have a chat with us and tell us about your music. So,
Not a problem.
thank you very much.
It's been good fun. Speak to you soon. Cheers.